Good morning to you all. How is everybody doing today? I took a class one time. I taught a. Hello. I actually taught a class once on what they call train the trainer, and they said the worst thing you could do is talk to the people direct in a meeting. So now that I've screwed that up, we'll move along. For those who don't know it, I'm the EC. My name is Joe Hawley, and I am the guy that you can complain to. And you all do. I want to thank you for that. We are going to have quarterly meetings as we were supposed to along the line. Our next one's going to be, I believe, the end of September. Is that correct? Yeah, something like that.
Look at the dates that are scheduled, but it should be like the last Saturday of the
And that one is here, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that one is here. We're going to start moving around a little bit into different venues and things like that, so just keep advised of that. We will send out all kinds of emails and various things like that for this type of thing. Okay, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about a new organization, what the served agencies are all about. Steve worked tirelessly, or should I say Al worked tirelessly, to put together a logo. Had the graphics department work on this thing, okay? We do not. We'll talk a little bit about background checks and some of the myths I think it's out there on this type of thing. We're going to talk a little about the Oxcom and actually what it actually is, and it may be different than what you think it is. I think there's, again, a lot of myths and things that are going around about that. Different EOC assignments, and then Mike is going to tell us about the Winlink type thing, projects and things like this. Kind of want to cover what this is. This is actually our structural chart. Steve and I are kind of up here, which doesn't mean that we're any better than you. We just happen to have, that's where we're at. And we have, instead of having AECs like we did, there was like 25 or 30 AECs, and that's tough for anyone to manage, okay? So what we did is that now instead of AECs, these people will be directors of like Larimer County, Weld County, Loveland, various things like that. These are directors of their particular. It's just a difference in terminology. It has nothing to do with anything else, okay? But these are AECs, and you can see we have operations. We have a logistics, which is Darren there. He handles all the equipment and various things as they're coming in and out. And we're talking about having manuals and various things like that, and that's his responsibility here. Our admin, Dave just does everything. If you want something done, ask Dave. He can get it for us, okay? He's over there. We have Steve, who's actually my AEC, but he's handling the individual EOCs out there and the directors that are under that. He makes those calls for that type of thing. And then we have our operations people, which is why we have our Winlink type thing today, and Mike Ring was going to handle that. And these training things, do you want to talk about this at all, Dave, these training assignments? Not yet? Okay. Well, as we go along. I'm going to pass the wand over to my good friend and compadre, Mr. Steve Johnson.
Okay, this is my latest list of directors for all the served agencies. That's the word that Joe couldn't slip out of his mouth there when he's talking about EOCs. We're talking about all the served agencies, whether it's Red Cross or whatever. There's a couple of new ones. Derek Yerian is the new director for Carbon Valley. Now, the Carbon Valley is Firestone, Frederick, and Tacona. That's what they call it down there. They asked me if we could change it to Carbon Valley, and Joe and I looked at it and said, yeah, we can call it whatever we want. But that encompasses those three towns, Tacona, Firestone, and Frederick. So that's a name change. Jeff Ford is going to have the Fort Collins Hospitals is still Darren. Larimer is Willis over there. Loveland is going to be changed from Rick Kyle, who's sitting back there, to James Isaac down in Loveland. Red Cross, we have a new one there. It's going to be Chet Norris. He actually works with the Red Cross, so he knows the Red Cross pretty well, and he's going to be the new one. The Red Cross is actually in the process of moving from their old site to their new site. Where was that located at, Joe? You remember?
I'm Joe.
There you are. I was looking for you. You were over there a minute ago.
It's over by, it's actually an old clinic for Banner Health. It's on Boise. It's about midway down there. It's probably a block away from the hospital.
And it's in Loveland.
It's in Loveland. I'm sorry. Yeah, from Mickey.
Instead of being on out here on 287, it's down in Loveland. So they're working on getting that stuff done, getting it moved and everything else. Skywarn, Mike Ring, Joe is still Wellington. I know that Jeff Ford worked on Wellington last year, I think it was, and I need to get with Joe or with Jeff to find out how far he got with them, and then I'll go back in there and continue to push that and get Wellington ham radioed up down there. Windsor is going to be Tim Annable. We should be in there within the next week or two. We're trying to get a meeting set up with the chief down there. Tim is going to be taking care of that one. Now, there's one other site that I've talked about. It's not on the list that I'd like to get us some ham presence, and that's the second largest town or city in Weld County, and that happens to be Fort Lupton. Down there at the south end of the county, we've never had anything going with those people down there. I talked to Roy Rudisil, the OEM for Weld County at the field day the other day, and he says he's got some contacts, and he's pretty gung-ho about us trying to get in down at Fort Lupton. And he says they have a good site that's sitting up on a hill and everything else down there. So we'll work on that, trying to get that one in there too. Okay, that's pretty much that. Anybody got any questions concerning the directors? Yeah.
You're gonna put this up on the webpage?
Yeah, we're gonna have it. It's halfway. Well, no, this is not up there yet, but yeah, I'll send it to Darren and get it to him. We'll get the organization chart up. Well, he's got one in there right now for the organization.
It's in there?
It's in there.
This updated list.
Yeah, it's not like this one here, but it's in there right now. But all this stuff will be going to Darren for the website, and I'll also put some of this stuff up on the Facebook page too. Okay? Okay. What happened? Didn't miss it, did I? Oh, there. This is what I wanted to talk. You want to do the other stuff first, or let me do this first?
Go ahead.
Okay. This is a concept that I thought about. I wanted something on our logo. Now, not all ARES around the country have logos. Some do and some don't. But this is something I thought about, and then I talked to Al over here because he's got some contacts at UNC for graphics and so forth, so they created the logo for us. Now, I wanted the logo to represent both counties that we have in our district. So we put the mountains in there to represent Larimer County, and we put the yellow portion down in the bottom as a wheat field to represent Weld County. I couldn't put an oil derrick in there, not with an antenna in there, because we got a lot of oil wells over there. So I thought of either a wheat field or a cornfield. The wheat field looks pretty good. And then, of course, an antenna to represent us, Colorado ARES, Region 3, District 2. So what do you people think about that? Do you want to have a logo? Does this one look okay?
Looks good.
Now, I've already talked to Angela, and she says it's not going to be a problem for her to do this for, if you want coats or hats or anything else from her. Shouldn't be a problem for T-shirts either. Is what T-shirts? I've got a place in Windsor. Windsor. I talked about, I'm going to be doing club T-shirts through them. I can also do these if we want to for ARES if you want them. Yeah.
My only comment is on the wheat field. Might not come out on a patch very well. You might not know what it is.
Well, she looked at it. Angela looked at it, and she's already been working on it. And she said, I can do this. So that's why I sent it to her to ask her, because having it like that, is it's going to come out any good. So she said she was okay with it. So, and she's the one that does all the embroidery for all the hats and the coats and everything else. Okay, so we'll go with that for now.
And a combine.
Huh?
Add a combine to it, yeah.
A combine? No, we just want the antenna. We don't want the combine in there.
Is it mine? I wish I could go through. Excuse me, guys.
No problem.
One of the biggest, we have a team, I don't know if you folks know it, we call it a steering team that's got all the AECs in it, and we meet once a month, the third Tuesday of the month. And we actually get quite a bit done in that little hour meeting. And one of our biggest things that we talked about was we've got 170 people on that list? 162, and we have 40 some?
49.
49, well, 49 people that are actually deployable.
I ran the numbers last night. I'm gonna do a quick rundown. We have 162 members, 49 are fully deployable. In there, 57 have completed all 4 ICS requirements. 75 of the 162 have done background checks, with 87 not done.
Okay. Those are very good numbers. We want to talk a little bit about this background check. When I took over, there were some misconceptions that I found out from spending a lot of time with both Dave and Rob about this background check thing. And if you've had a problem in the past, it does not mean that you cannot be part of this. You don't have to have a squeaky clean thing. And what we decided in our little meeting was we were going to take it as a case-by-case type situation. So if you've got a little bit of dirtiness in your background and things like that, don't worry about that. Let us worry about this. This is going to be a very private thing. We're not going to let anybody know this thing. You get to see it before we do, if you didn't know, okay? And then if you still don't want to do it, we understand. But in order to be fully deployable, because of the agencies we serve, we have to tell them at least we give a background check. We don't have to tell them, you know, that you killed somebody a week ago. And if you did, we probably won't let you in anyway. But that's the whole thing. Minor things are things that won't discourage it. And we've dealt with, we're kind of centering ourselves on what Denver's doing. And Denver has got some pretty okay people, or whatever you want to call it, that's had some problems in the past. But they feel really comfortable with them. And so they've actually got them deployable and things like that. So I'm just trying to tell you people, if you're worried about the background check, don't be. It'll be private between me and you, and we'll look at it, and Dave. Of course, Dave's the one that actually, and we'll basically do this on a case by case. We're trying to get more people deployable. You know, with just saying we have a third of the people that are actually on the list deployable is really tough, because if we have a big incident, like for instance, I think some of you people got emails from me about maybe deploying to the fire. I was going to be in kind of a rock and a hard place. Because what they were talking about doing was this, and I really didn't know if I had enough people that I could pull away from work and stuff like that, and yet I can't go into that other file. So if you really think that you got a problem, let's talk about it. Talk one-on-one to me or one-on-one to Dave. He's actually a much nicer person to talk to than I am. But let's talk, because I'm not going to let anything that you tell me out. It's private between you and I. I've done this for years, so it's not a big deal, okay? So just kind of be aware of that the background check shouldn't stop you from doing this, okay, irregardless. Any questions or comments about that, please? Okay. Another thing I want to talk about that's not on this list is kind of the same thing, getting these modules done. Why y'all having trouble with this? Really? I've actually thought, we mentioned something about maybe putting on a class. We have a guy that actually teaches these classes. And I do think we could Conroy into it, don't you think? Yeah, we can Conroy. And if this is an issue, would a class help you folks get this thing done, or what?
Which modules are you specifically addressing?
The ICS.
Yeah,
ICS. Yeah, the what, 200, 300?
100, 200, 700, and 800.
Yeah, several modules that are not available online. You have to take a class.
All 4 of them.
Yeah, but
All
those
four
four
of them are.
Well, the 4 basics.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. It's the basic
Yeah,
ones.
all we're requiring is those 4. We're only requiring those 4. I agree with that, because we're only requiring those 4 in a background check to be fully deployable. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
100, 200, 700, 800 are all available online. Links are available on the website as well. You can't find them through Google.
Yeah, I was absolutely sure, but I just wanted reinforcement on that.
And as far as numbers go there, we have 57 members that have done all 4. We have 14 that are midway in 1, 2, or 3, and 91 that have not done any.
Would a class,
That's by far the bulk of the issue there.
now, even though, like Lynn back there, hi Lynn, I ain't talked to you tonight, how you doing? Ain't seen you for about a month or more. Even the people who have done the modules, do you think a class would help? How do we want to get this thing done? Because we want to help you folks, everything. This is our job. This is Darren's, Steve's, my job, these 2 other guys over here, Al Lewis's, you know. And
Al Lewis.
this is our job to help you folks get through this thing. And we're not, what can we do to help you folks?
I don't think a class would be very helpful. I know it helped me get back into,
Okay.
in radio, getting med tech done.
And then what we would do again, we would probably take, can they do the test? Or do we have to do that online?
I don't know. I'll have to talk to Roy
Yeah,
some
Roy
more
would know.
and find out what he can actually provide us.
Roy is the head honcho for the EOC in Weld County. We actually work with him quite a bit. So he's been a good friend and actually a very compadre. And actually joined, he's a ham operator now. So we got him through that. And Roy's really a good guy.
Yeah, sometimes he bugs me too. Is Skywarn going up today?
What do you think? Anybody else got any opinions? We were looking for opinions. Come on, Rick, you always got an opinion. Yes, sir, Dave.
I think you did the right thing of just basically telling us to get our act together and get going.
We've done that for years. So,
It helped me.
okay.
You got to remember real quickly here too, like the email that Joe was sending out about the possibility of going to fires in southern Colorado. We're not going to send you out of district to an event if you're not a threat, if you're not deployed. We could do stuff in our district with other people like 1s and 2s, but we can't send nobody that's not a 3 outside of our
To
district.
explain what 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I was just going to go there. Okay. Dave, let's bring you into this. Would you care to explain that? Because you're actually, oh, you're on a phone. Okay. We actually have 4 levels. Okay. You want to explain?
Yeah, so the 4 levels, the 4 tiers that we have is going to be, 1 is when you've just turned in your application. 2 is when you've done your application and the background check. 3 is background check plus the ICS trainings. And then 4 is the optional OXCOM training. As we're getting people deployable we want to get you in position so you can actually train, like Willis has brought up. What I care about is people that are actually on site and learning how our served agency operates. So what we've done is set up lists over there for everybody to sign and attach themselves to a served agency so that you can get specific training rather than just general stuff. We want to actually have you familiar with the equipment, on how to use it, what frequencies are going to be used, what people are at what tables. Like that stuff is very important when we get down to something is actually happening and we need to function as this amateur radio emergency service group. So that's the direction we're trying to steer toward is actually training inside an EOC so you'll know what you're doing when you deploy and are in that agency. Does that make sense to everybody?
And I might add, there are different, not only are there different tiers, but there's different things you can do at each tier. At tier 1, since all you've done is join the organization, about the only thing that you can do at that point is serve as like a net control or a resource on the air. Tier 2, since you've done your background check, the served agencies are going to allow you in the door. Now, because you don't yet have the ICS trainings, you won't be able to go there solo. You'll have to be there with somebody else that has the ICS trainings. Once you reach tier 3, then you can go in and man a station on your own and be able to communicate effectively with the emergency personnel there.
And tier 4 is me. Walk on water. Jim, you're close.
You're not the only one.
I know. Actually, I think it's 3 of us that have got that. Is everybody all clear with this stuff? We've changed a lot of things in the last 6 months, and this is what we've been trying to do, is clear up a lot of things.
Well, guys, and you may have seen those lists in the back that are back there with each of the served agencies. I encourage you to fill out which agency you want to be attached to so we can start pairing people off with agencies.
And as a follow-on there, I encourage everybody to log into the website, find your password or recover it, whatever you need to do. And I'm in the process of implementing the tiers right now, getting that set up, so it may not be 100% correct right now, but definitely all the dates of your trainings. If those dates are not correct, or you have something that we don't have recorded, let Dave know. Admin at
Colorado ARES R3D2.org.
You can send to admin at that address, and it'll get to 3 or 4 of us, and we will get you an answer on just about anything.
My feeling is this, you ever go out and try to buy a ball cap that says one size fits all, and the sucker don't fit? Okay. That's kind of my feeling with this ARES stuff, is that if you learn what's going on in Weld County, it may be different than what he's doing there. And that's okay if you have to serve that agency, but we want you really close to the one that you sign up for. And that's why we want to show everything. You know where the books are, you're going to go in there. And a lot of times, the flood is a good example. When you and I were there, then all of a sudden you had to work, I was stuck, I knew nothing. And I was the only one there for 12 hours. So we're trying to go away from that. We're trying to have the people that are trained right there, that know what the heck they're doing. And we realize that we're going to have to maybe deploy in and out and things like that. But for a basic, we need everybody, no more one size fits all. Okay? Or maybe one size fits most, but not that, okay. You know, I'm really holding my breath because the guy with a chivvy hat and me just don't get along. I'm a Ford guy. So, she's got a Pontiac. I got to live with it. Anyway. Do you? What a guy. Anybody else got any comments or questions? We'll talk about having a class. I think that's a good deal. You work with him and we'll see if we can get this thing done.
Actually, one other thing on those.
Yes, sir.
Not only are they online, they only take about a half hour, 45 minutes each.
Yep.
So it's not a huge
Yeah,
investment.
it's not like it takes you all day to do a course.
I would not encourage you to try to do all 4 in one day, though. Your brain will turn to cheese. It doesn't work. Do 1 or 2 a day.
And this comes from a pretty smart guy. So.
I hope the website's more reliable than it was last fall.
I
really tried for a week to get them out. I got a few modules done, but
Really?
yeah, it just.
And I know it's mentioned on the website, might not be as clear as it could be, but start with 700. It helps.
Yeah, it does. You're absolutely right.
700 introduces all of the terms, and then they use the terms in 100.
Yeah,
So
what
why
it,
is it 700 and not 100?
Ask the government. Ask the FEMA. I don't know.
we really want to get this thing updated because I need people that are deployable, okay? Because it's things like this. Now, dealing with that, let's talk about this misconception for Oxcom. R3D2 has to be Oxcom.
Really?
No.
Isn't R3D2 a robot?
R2D2 is the robot. Just saying, I mean, I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt.
That's why I always remember, wait a minute, it's R3, not R2. Okay. Would you like to, you are more tied into Oxcom, explain Oxcom to our friends here.
Oxcom. Oxcom is a government program that, you know, the government keeps coming up with these different concepts of being able to report around the whole state, more or less, right?
That's a state government, too.
Yeah, it's a state. This is a state thing. It's not a national thing.
Out comes the state of Colorado.
Yes.
Well, is it federal?
No, it's state of Colorado.
It's state of Colorado.
state, okay.
It is state Colorado.
I thought it was mandated by
We keep getting told about Oxcom, and you know, the state's probably, you know, 10 years behind and data short and everything else. So what we talked about the other day was just making Oxcom a voluntary thing, okay? We can put the courses up there, there's 4 of them, and anybody who wants to take them can take them. But we're not gonna require at this point for anybody to have that qualification. Now there are, you know, probably 4 or 5 of us in our group here that have Oxcom, but when we'll ever use it, who knows? Because we haven't been given radios for it. They're at 800 megahertz, isn't it? 800 megahertz?
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes. But, you know, we were told that, yeah, you get radios and everything else. Well, we haven't seen anything. So we're just gonna make it a voluntary thing.
Dave, does Oxcom, do they have a series of repeaters? It's 800 megahertz, is it all connected? You talk like the statewide?
Basically, the
2 meter
state
network?
DMR system.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's all DMR. Okay, and
Yeah.
is it up and running right now?
Yes,
Yeah.
And do people utilize this?
somewhat.
I think they use those.
All that, use it.
Do they use it on a daily basis or when they have to have interagency?
The state came to us when we set up the Weld County EOC and says, here's what you need. You need a DMR radio. And I never put the 2 and 2 together until we were sitting there at that meeting a couple weeks ago, and I thought, okay, now this makes some sense. They're going to tie us into the Oxcom system. Now, from our standpoint, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves as far as what we're actually talking about at Oxcom. Oxcom, as far as identification and purpose, compared to R3D2 statewide, means that I can send Kevin, if he's got Oxcom training, over to work for somebody in Denver, and they'll pull him up and be able to certify him as this person. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's with the different courses. Do we need an RTD through? To the best of my knowledge today, that could change tomorrow, we don't. So that's therefore, there's no mandate saying you have to do that for R3D2. Do we all agree with that? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, and the other way that I kind of see the whole Oxcom thing is kind of like ham licensing. This is basically the state saying that you're okay to talk on their system.
Well, I can understand that, and their desire too. So,
Yeah.
but is there any way, have people taken Oxcom and figure, is there a way that there's a bridge between that and ham radio?
Okay, there's where this is where I was getting to. Dave and I talked at length about, and you were involved in too, how can we handle the paperwork? I mean, what are we supposed to do with the paperwork? So I got a hold of some people up there, and what they basically told us is you're not supposed to. Okay, good. So actually you need a fingerprint type background check, an ID, or a concealed carry thing, which I guess is the same. Okay, you send this all to this person, and I'll get the name out to you, and you send all that stuff to them. We don't have anything to do with it, because we don't even know how to handle it.
But is there a need for us to know how to communicate with Oxcom?
Only if you're going.
State, and it's our, you know, and then something happens here in this county, but we need to communicate with somebody in another county.
Only if you're going to be deployed in another area.
So this is only for deployment.
It's an additional item in your toolkit that may or may not ever get used.
Yeah.
So if Lynn wants to do it, I'm fine with that. I don't care what they do it, but does he have to do it? Only if he wants to. And I was getting really tight. In fact, I actually said, well, the director's going to be a mandate. We're going to do this. And then you guys talked me out of it, and I got a hold of Rob, and I thought, yeah, why am I mandating anything? Because there's really no need to.
But is there a need to have one person have some kind of contact with Oxcom?
Well, we have
800 megahertz radio?
so
that we have some ability?
Steve and I have to be.
Okay.
We have to be.
As long as you meet that basic.
But we don't have any radios for it, okay?
So how do we get a radio? Don't you
The
need
state's supposed to supply them.
They're not cheap.
They're not cheap.
Well, that's what, you know, so, I
Yeah.
don't know, it seems like the state needs to come up with a radio.
That's exactly where we were coming from.
You can go ahead and tell the state that for us, Dave.
Well, I'd be glad to. I mean, sometimes we need, you know,
Rick?
Rob will be the link to getting to cash radios. He has them. He's the regional link to Oxcom. You know, he actually, it would probably good if you could, with advance notice, get him scheduled to do a briefing on Oxcom and what he's doing. I was invited to join it. I have declined. Because I'm not going to deploy out of state or anything like that.
Yeah, he actually, Rob actually gave us a briefing 3 months ago on it, a little bit of it. So, but that was the last thing we really got from Rob as far as
Yeah,
that
there
goes.
was a little bit Rob did on Oxcom at the March, April Skywarner meeting that we had here.
Yeah.
And those slides are posted to the website.
Yeah, it's so I just want you to know that as far as mandating something from R3D2, we're not going to do that today. Now, I'm not saying we won't do that. May not change tomorrow if they come down with this, the counties come down and say you got to do it. We basically, and I will keep everybody abreast of whatever happens like that. Any other questions or comments?
Is this tied into the OneNet thing?
You're talking about FirstNet.
First,
Yeah, I was going to mention FirstNet is really spooling up right now, but that's really mainly for like first responders and stuff like that. Some people are afraid that it's going to affect the ham radio responsibilities. Right now, it doesn't look that way, but it's mainly for FirstNet, mainly for first responders, government, and things like that. The other thing that might, from the state, besides the Oxcom thing, is they're trying to go to a statewide listing of ham ops for events. I can't remember what it's called. But in other words, we would have to register all our people with the state. And when you go to an incident, your badge doesn't mean nothing here. It means that it's okay here in the district. But when you go to an incident out of our district, they're going to check that list and see if you're on the list. If you are, they're going to clear you to do that event, and they're going to give you a badge. But they haven't got it all worked out yet. They've been working on this for, I don't know, 2-3 years, maybe longer. So we'll see what happens when they tell us, whatever. So, who's next up, Dave or Mike? Now, Dave should be up talking about the EOC. You talked about it a little bit.
I already hit that.
Yeah, you okay with that?
Yeah, really, we want to attach everybody to an EOC, like I said. So if you guys could put your name on one of those lists to let us know which EOC you want to be attached to, which one's convenient and close for you. Go ahead, Dave.
So if you live in Fort Collins, obviously Fort Collins, but also Larimer County, should you be on
you
only
could-
one or two?
One,
One. So commit to one or the other.
yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hospitals are everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
remember if
Fort
you,
Collins, we can put you at PDH as well.
yeah, he's got what, 5 hospitals now?
Got 5 hospitals, I think.
And there's another one being built.
Another one coming on.
So, he's gonna have potential 6 hospitals he's gonna have to cover at one time or another depending on the event, so. It's not in one town. It's Fort Collins, Loveland. So. Okay, Mike is gonna talk to you about Winlink.
Good morning. I'm Mike Ring. And as Steve mentioned, I'm here to talk about Winlink. I passed my slideshow over to Steve, and he passed it over to Joe, and somehow it kind of falls off the edge sometimes.
Thank you.
What can I say? Anyhow, thank you all for coming today. I know you have lots of other things you could be doing, but you chose to come here, and we're going to try and give you some information if you don't already have it. So what about Winlink and you? What is it? Does anybody know what it is? Raise your hand. I know what it is. So there's people, yeah, I've heard about it. And some people actually use it occasionally. I've talked to people and they use it occasionally. And then there's a group that use it frequently. Willis. And then there's those, and I don't see them today, who manages the Winlink gateway. So it's a little more advanced. So each of us have various levels of familiarity or not familiarity with it. And so what I was hoping to do today is an introduction for this. So what is it? It's global email. We all use email a lot. But sometimes the internet isn't working. So there's a mechanism so that you can use your ham radios and communicate with other people in emergency situations. Come on. It can transfer messages between systems UHF, VHF, standard email. You can send emails between Winlink stations and regular emails. You can reply back. So this is great in that situation where this area doesn't have internet, but this area does. So you're trying to get resources probably pulled into it or vice versa. For emergency communications, you normally send it through these other gateways, CMSs. You can do it from peer to peer. I can go and send it directly to another station. You can do these communications, but it's still part of amateur radio, so you have to be careful and do certain things a certain way. It is a tool. It is a tool, not a cure-all. Winlink uses familiar formats, extensive forms, a complete ICS form library, and you can do it with different mechanisms. You can do it with internet connection, which they gave it a name called a telnet. You can do it with packet, which is going through a dedicated gateway. You can do it HF, using another one called Winmore, or you can do the peer-to-peer, as I mentioned. You can actually access your email by doing this, and you can log in and get email right on your regular phone, tablet, computer, whatever it is. And you say, okay, what do I need to do this? You have to have a PC or a laptop. You have to have the internet connection.
Back up to the PC and laptop, I believe it's still Windows only.
Sure.
Back up to the PC and laptop, I believe it's still Windows only, isn't it?
Yes. As far as
I don't know if anybody has tried it under Wine, but it should
anybody
run.
has any other information? I don't know.
I don't know if anybody has tried it under Wine, but it should run.
Yeah. The key is this Winlink Express software. If you go to this website, it has got everything you ever wanted to know about Winlink. And if it doesn't have it on the web page, it has other links that you can utilize to get that information. I'm just a user, and I'm just here with you guys, ladies, today, and I'm just trying to introduce it to you so that you might have some interest or pick it up so that when you go to a served agency, you'll have that capability of doing this. When you go to this particular website, if you scroll across the top menu line, they call it the Book of Knowledge. And in the Book of Knowledge, there's an introduction to a fellow who's another ham operator called Rick Frost. K4REF. Anyhow, he's got a series of 7 YouTube videos that are outstanding. How do you tune this to get the right amount of sound coming in so that you don't do things the wrong way? So anyhow, this is the key area that you're going to start with. When you go to the HF side and you're trying to contact somebody out there, there are stations that are set up to do this. This particular, that's right, we dropped off the EXE, but this particular area, when you introduce it into the software, can go out and see what strength are the various stations that are able, how far away are they, and what's the chance of you hitting them. When you start up Winlink, and you'll see this frequently when you change things, it comes up with this. And if you donate to them, you'll get a registration key, and it allows you to fill that out, and you don't get this nag screen. But if you wait just a couple of seconds, 5 seconds or so, it will come up with a useful remind me later, and you just punch that, and you can move on through. When you're setting it up, hoobie-doo, I got a red thingy. You can need a call sign and a password. I checked this one off because I don't, how do you write it down? So you're having that. You have some sort of email, your normal one, that you're going to use for recovery in case that something goes wrong and you need something, and they can send it to you if you give them the email. Your grid square is the one that you're in. DM70ML, something like that. Yeah. Anyhow, and then you give them some other pertinent information, which is basically your recovery emails, usually your non-Winlink. You hit update, beep, 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 and public. Then once you've installed it, you have this available to you, which looks kind of familiar if you do email. It has different categories: inbox, read, sent, delete, drafts, whatever. And then it has a series of messages. If you're in Outbox, it'll have them up there, and then it'll display the actual content of that messages. One of the key features off of this is up here, it says session. And you have several choices through here. You can do it just with the internet, and that one's called Telnet. And then you have packet, which will get you to our local station. Or you have WinMore, which is the HF. And you click on the open session, and it brings you to another area. And from there, you can do further things in order to go in that direction. Like I said, if you go to the RMS webpage and you get on Rick Frost, he'll give you everything, buddy. We're just doing an overview today. So if we're talking about the internet, which is Telnet, it allows you to use basically what you would normally do at home, but you can do it from the emergency headquarters. Like I said, this is good for, they don't have internet and you do, or something like along those lines. Packet is the local station that we have that you're going to be sending to. And there's a couple different ways to do that. You're sending an audible signal across the radio waves to a receiving station that decodes it and sends it out over the internet. One of the ways to do that is with a TNC. In this particular case, they're talking about a Cantronics KPC3 that some people use. And by setting it up, it'll work with your radio. Some people have, what's the brand of radio has a built-in sound card? Kenwood. What was it, ICS 2000 or something? Built-in, yeah. So anyhow, we're trying to get the way of getting the signals from the computer through a sound card and out over the radio to be received somewhere. One way is with a packet, and in this case, we're talking about the TNC. The other way is the Signalink, which requires a little bit different setup on that same page, but it will send the sound waves from the computer through the radio and out to the station.
Just a quick question. You had the type.
Different way of doing that.
KISS in there? What was in there?
Keep it simple, stupid. Okay, it's one of these. Oh, pardon me. It's one of these choices.
Signalink is the way that you connect your
when I
computer
did the other one, it
to
was
a
Canton.
TNC.
Yep.
KISS is the type of TNC, the language the TNC talks.
Okay.
It's the
So
handshake.
you can
between
put a KPC3 in KISS mode. The
It's the
Bionics
handshake
Tiny
between
Tracks
them.
run KISS mode. A lot of the other modems run KISS mode.
Okay. So I have a signal. Like I was trying to do that. I was like,
Yeah.
didn't know what
It's the TNC, not the not the link.
Thanks.
It's the TNC, not the link.
Right. Okay, and then we have WinMore, which is just another name that they're using for the HF. And once you get into this and you go up into this channel selection thing, that's where that other ITSHF software kicks in and reads up all the available stations that are around and will give you the best choice that you possibly have. And you'll end up with this waterfall situation and the settings that allow you to receive the signal. Didn't work. What can I say? Well, anyhow, it allows you to see what's happening as far as this little piece over here says channel free or channel clear. I can't remember. Sometimes it says busy, and you don't transmit them because you're going to a specific station at this point. So in this case, they're talking about an Icon 7300 that's using some, and if you'll notice, this is really fast. Generally, that communication is one thing. What it goes out on the air depends on what kind of
Normally, connection to the TNC,
this one
not the
is
speed of
very,
the packet
very
on the air.
fast. Normally,
That would
be illegal on HF. That's the bug.
One thing you need to remember about HF Winmore is efficiency and communication. It is very slow.
Yes.
That's why when you do like simulated emergency tests and whatnot, they generally have a message
Yes.
format that summarizes great categories of status in one letter, because it's very slow. Categories of status in one letter, because it's very slow.
Rick's saying that the communications using this is slow. And is there anybody here from Estes Park? Yes, sir.
If we
You
check them
have
both
two
every
stations,
week.
I believe. One's 1200 baud and one's 9600 baud.
If we check them both every week.
Yeah, every week you guys are rock stars when it comes to this stuff. I mean, nothing like getting a flood to scare the crap out of you. You know, you get cut off from the world and it's like, dude, we're not going to have that again. So they practice it.
How
They have
reliable is
two
the
different
96?
Ours is
I
1200.
think it's more reliable than the 1200 we found up there.
Really?
We had more trouble with the 1200 than we did with the 96. Don't know why.
Because I've heard most of the time the other way around.
Really?
Because 96 is kind of pushing the boundary of what you can do on those frequencies.
Yeah.
Transmission on HF Winmore is a lot slower than
Yeah. Yeah, HF is going to be 300 baud.
more or less.
Yeah, HF is going to be 300 baud.
Anyway, when you're going into your served agency and you're talking about helping out, and we're talking about Winlink at this point, you know, do they have internet? If you got internet, why go through the process of sending packet or HF or something like that? Just use it. Do you know where you're going to send it to? If you're in this area, there's one station. If you're up there, they got two. There being Estes Park.
We hope to have 2 soon.
Anyhow, so one of the keys, key is how much power you're putting out. This is a low power type situation, and it works better on low than it does on high. So you want to keep it low. Do you have Winlink ready to go? And you're looking around, and unless you brought yours with you, what are you going to do? You can put the whole schmear on a memory stick and take it in with you. And if you're allowed to use them, be able to access it that way. Right on the stick, all of it.
Patrick, can you go back one thing? I wanted to make a comment on the second bullet, verifying your call sign is set up. Winlink will expire call signs that are not used, and I think it's a year.
I think it's 6 months now.
6 months now? So even if you have signed up, it is not perpetual. You need to use it every 6 months, it sounds like, at least.
Just log on.
Just log on, check email, log off, you're done.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure if logging in through the internet resets the
And
timer or not.
I don't think it does.
I don't
I
think
believe
it
you have
does.
to at least go to W0QEY at CSU, the
Yeah,
server.
I think it's gotta be an on-air connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gotta be an on-air connection.
Okay. So once you're starting out with this, the other key point is you can't not set it up ahead of time, expect to go into an emergency operations center or some other served agency, and then start it up and do it. Because you have to send out a
That's
message
first
in
time
order to be
setup.
authorized. You get
It
on
is
there,
possible,
something
if you
like
have
that.
an account, to go in with that memory stick and install it on a different system and connect to your existing user ID. You can install it on a different system and connect to your existing user ID.
But you have to be set up in advance.
Exactly.
You cannot just go in blind with a stick and say, I want to start Winlink. No. So anyhow, moving right along. So the forms we're talking about, incident command system forms. And there's a list of them, along with some other stuff, but there's a list of different ones, some of which are more popular than others. The ICS 213, regular message. And as we've mentioned, it is slow. So you're not going to send, high resolution pictures or spreadsheets unless it's comma separated value formats. It is slow. So you want to keep it short and to the point. And what these will do is you'll be able to open up the form, enter in your data. It strips off the form portion, sends out the information. When it gets to the other end, it says, oh, it's an ICS 213 form. Takes the information, puts it back in the form so that you can actually make logical reading sense out of it. It won't put these headings on it and incident name stuff. It strips off the information like that and just leaves the data to go through and be set up at the other end. When you're sending messages, somebody comes and says, here, send this. And you go, wait, let me look at it at least. Well, what's this word here? Because if it's handwritten, it might be from a doctor. So, it might be from me. So, and you're not interpreting any part of the message. Oh, they probably meant to say this, I'll change it to that. Now, send it word for word, number for number. And you log it, and we're talking about small messages.
That's even large.
It's from them. So anyhow, can you send attachments? Yes, under certain circumstances.
format?
Keep it small.
What format?
Only text.
Oh, text. You want to use text?
Only text.
Yes. When you go up to something else, you got to have small. Huh? It has to be small. You know how when you send a photo, sometimes you get choices? Send the smallest thing possible. And don't send multiple photos. I'd send multiple messages. Because what's going to happen as you slow things down, while Winlink, one of the greatest benefits for Winlink, the speed is slow, the accuracy is very good because that's forward error checking.
Does Winlink provide receipts? Does Winlink provide receipts?
Receipts?
Well, you do get
Yeah, well,
confirmation
yeah.
that it's
Part of
handed to
the-
the next hop in the chain
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Handed to the next hop in the chain
Yeah.
immediately.
When you're remember that initial sheet we showed that looks a lot like Gmail or something and had these things? Well, that's part of it. It'll give an indicator there that it's been sent. And as you're sending it, it'll open up another screen that's either the Winmore HF or the packet that you can actually watch it go out to our local station, at least. Okay. How many radios do you have in the served agency that you're going to be working with? Do you have two? One can be dedicated just for email? I don't know. Generally not. So you're going to have to set up some sort of time to establish when you do this and when you do that. How often do you do it? On, you know, the top of the and the bottom of the hour?
Mike,
How-
I have a
not
question
just
for Rick.
decide to
Do
operate
you have a
it.
dedicated radio in Loveland for Winlink?
In the Loveland DOC, they have a VHF Winlink is set up with a Kenwood radio, a PM71, and the Winmore is set up through the IC7000, the HF radio. So we have two different radios. The 7000 will do both, but right now we have it split between two radios. The 7000 will do both, but right now we have it split between two radios.
Now, you're talking about there are two dedicated just for Winlink
available
purposes,
for voice.
correct?
They can be used for WinLink. They're also available for voice.
Okay. So at some point, you have to decide what you're going to do, voice or
That
data.
DOC
So
has
that's what I'm
multiple
trying to get at
radios,
is
so
here.
the
You got to
PM71 on one side of it can be
have a
set
time.
up. But then you just have to log in and,
Right.
you know, RMS Express and do your thing. Then you just have to log in and,
Right.
you know, RMS Express and do your thing.
Let me ask the fellow from Estes Park, what do you guys do if you're set up at, I don't know, the Hospital of American Legion? I think you have two different sites. So do you have any dedicated for Winlink?
We
or
have two
multi-purpose
stations. One
and
is
you have to
dedicated
have a
mostly
time?
to Winlink, although that's a voice as well.
Mike, again,
So
to you two
you have to
guys.
figure these things out.
Dual
because
band
they're
radio,
important.
can you have one side Winlink and the other one a voice? You can?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool, I didn't know
Now,
that.
now, you probably won't be able to use them at the exact same instant.
No, but it's just a matter of switching, is
But
what I'm saying.
It's
Yeah.
just a
It
case of
automatically
stop
heat it.
talking for a minute, connect to WinLink, when
Yeah.
it's done, start
Yeah.
talking again.
You might be on.
Just the same way in your car, you can't talk on both sides at the same
I
time.
didn't realize
You
that,
might
but
be
just to
on-
have it, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah,
70 centimeters and 2 meters.
The other thing to do is read your radio
Yeah, 70
manual for
centimeters
those.
and 2 meters.
There are some radios I've seen that only do data on one side or the other. There are radios where you have to do a menu item to pick which side is going to data, things like that.
I
So
believe 400's like that.
read your manual.
That's why you practice.
Yep.
Pardon?
Read your manual. Yep.
Pardon, Rick? Practice? Practice. Practice. It just, you know what's going to happen if you walk in cold. You know what's going to happen if you walk in and you start practicing. It takes a while for things to come back. The connection isn't quite right. The software hasn't been updated. You forgot to update your radio station. Things happen. So practice is very beneficial. You can do it at home. You can send email to yourself through Packet. You can send it to your friends and neighbors. Send it to Willis. He says he gets internet traffic through Winlink all the time. Practice. It's like anything else. You don't become good at it unless you practice it. If you're changing over and you're coming in, you know, it's like anything else. What's going on? What's happening? Well, we got this, we got that, we got this, we got this. We're experiencing temporary delays, so we got to resend this message, whatever it is. You find out what's going on. And just don't leave until your replacement comes in. But I was supposed to go home. Okay, log it in. If it didn't log, it didn't happen. Now, who does this look like?
Looks like Gary. Where's Gary?
What did I do?
Hey, Jerry. That
Looks like
you
kind of like you.
already?
Oh, yes.
You're on the radio.
Looks like kind of like you.
There you go. When in his ute. So okay, what's going wrong? I can't get this thing to work. Like anything else, follow the directions, instructions, watch the videos. Too much power is a problem. Not getting the audio levels correct. There's sometimes it's a combination of the radio, the computer, and the sound card. And getting that balance sometimes takes a while. It took me forever to get it done. Then I had it, and then I lost it, then I got it back again. Now I've got it locked in and nailed down, and I won't change it ever until I have to. Okay, before. Practice. Okay, besides me, Darren is more of a in-house expert on this. So if you start it up, I'd say try it first. Don't just start asking questions. Try it first, and you'll be able to work through problems one at a time. There are these fantastic people that have done this. This is all free. No charge for it. You do have to have. He'll reduce his rates for members of our ARES group. Thank you, Darren. Appreciate that. I don't know enough, so I'm free. So anyhow, this is supposed to be an introduction. This, I know we got into the weeds just a little bit. I didn't want to go too far down because it's a lot of information, and this isn't one of these things where it takes 5 minutes and you're done. If you can get it done in 5 minutes.
Standardized for all the areas groups listed as standard gonna be used in this area?
Yes, if you want to communicate by email, Winlink is it. Okay? Because it's universal as far as
EOC in the fall simulated emergency tests the last 3 years running has used Winlink, both VHF and HF WinWar as part of the simulated emergency test communications. Yeah.
Okay.
Like from level into the state.
Okay. Rick's indicating that this is what the state does. I mean, when they want to practice, they use this. They're not going to come up with something exotic or different. It's going to be.
Yeah, and I think another thing that was useful in that last exercise, they passed patient names or something doing Winlink, okay, not on the open air, but on Winlink. So.
HIPAA is a different animal. You have to be very careful. Some people say, oh, it's no problem. I'd say if I got a message in and somebody wants to hand me a message and I think it may have HIPAA information that's not been cleared because the patient said, I don't want my information cleared, as opposed to the patient says it's okay to transmit, then you're not going to violate HIPAA. So I'd have a little checkbox, HIPAA certified, and have them initial it.
I thought it was HIPAA.
You cannot encrypt over
You can't encrypt
radio frequencies, so you're not allowed to do that. But as the last time I checked, Winlink and Packet in general are certified for HIPAA information, but as an operator, I would use that as a last resort. And also I would take a look at the data being transmitted and ask them to strip out any information that might not be necessary.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody's sending you social security numbers for no reason.
I think pretty much I think that if you can do it, it's just strict to names and that's it, no other information.
Okay.
I think that if you can do it, it's just strict to names and that's it, no other information.
Okay. Well, okay, we've had some fun.
Did you give it away
We didn't have
him?
a game, but we do have a prize. We do have a prize. God. I didn't say penalty. I said prize. If you look under your chair, you may find a yellow Post-it note that's been attached to the bottom of your chair. If you reach under there now, you may find something. And it'll be towards the front more than before the middle post. Chicken dinner. All right, sir. Thank you very much. Here you go. Here is, hey, it's a thumb drive, if nothing else, but it has all the
They got all that Winlink up.
software on it, and what the heck? We all got to.
He doesn't need it. They got all that Winlink up.
But he probably has a buddy he wants to train up, and he says, here, I give it to you. Now you can install it and learn it. So thank you all very much. I appreciate your helping me out today, and I appreciate the information. Like I said, it was more of an introduction than anything else. Go to the website and look at all the stuff there. I mean, they got it all. And if you can't find it on YouTube University, shame on you. Thank you.
This presentation was brought to you by the Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club. For more information, visit our website, ncarc.net. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.